On a moonlit night in Miami, the Hollywood elite gathered on the private yacht of media mogul William Crosby. The party, hosted by Scarlett Johansson, was supposed to be private, luxurious, and only for the family. The guest list consisted of the most famous names, actors, top models, rappers, and billionaires who loved such exclusive gatherings. Scarlett, in a luxurious black Versace dress, held a glass of Dom Perignon and smiled effortlessly. Her friends, Margot Robbie, Zendaya, and Ryan Reynolds, had already started a cocktail marathon, and Diplo was in the DJ booth, preparing a crazy playlist. But the atmosphere changed when an uninvited guest appeared on board, Colin Jost. His appearance shocked everyone. He walked past the security, insisting he wanted to talk to Scarlett for at least 5 minutes. She took a sip of champagne and tried to look nonchalant when she saw him, but everyone noticed the change in her demeanor. Is this some kind of joke from an SNL writer, or do you really think I want to see you here? She snapped sarcastically. Colin ignored the hints and started toward her, but was intercepted by Ryan Reynolds, the actor rumored to have a special connection with Scarlett. Boy, you got the wrong ship. You need the one with the $50 tickets and no open bar. Ryan smiled, but there was tension in his voice. Colin looked at him, then at Scarlett, and threw his martini glass straight into the pool. Silence. Tension. All eyes are on the trio in the center of the deck, and that was just the beginning of the chaos. After Colin Jost's glass splashed into the pool, everyone on the yacht froze. It was a moment when the party could have gone one of two ways: either everything would calm down quickly, or real chaos would begin. And, of course, in the style of Hollywood parties, everything went the second way. Are you serious? Ryan Reynolds sneered, raising an eyebrow. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were her bodyguard now, Colin said, swaying slightly. It was clear that the cocktails were already starting to get the better of him. Margot Robbie, who was standing nearby, pouring herself a glass of champagne, grimaced. If you start waving your fists now, I'll film it and sell it to TMZ. Zendaya, watching everything with a cocktail in her hand, simply whispered, God, men are so predictable. Scarlett, already losing patience, took a step forward. Colin, you either get on your ass and go back to shore, or what? He interrupted, approaching her, and it was at this moment that everything exploded. Drake, who had just approached the bar, heard the argument and, realizing that something interesting was about to happen, shouted loudly, Let's go. A party without drama is not a party. And then, as if on command, one of the models touched the champagne table, and a huge bottle of Dom Perignon crashed to the deck with a crash. Okay, now it's official, chaos has begun. Diplo laughed, turning on a louder beat. Scarlett looked at all this in confusion, and Colin, instead of calming down, suddenly tried to grab her hand, but immediately received a light but quite eloquent blow to the chest from Ryan Reynolds. Colin did not fall, but took 2 steps back and leaned on the bar counter. Margot Robbie, seeing that the party was turning into a Hollywood action movie, exclaimed, Let's just make bets on who will win. But while everyone was laughing, Colin, apparently, decided that he had nothing to lose and grabbed a bottle of champagne. It looked as if he was going to throw it at someone, but at the last moment, drank it straight from the throat and threw it into the pool. Everyone froze for a second, and then the real madness began. When Colin Jost drained a bottle of champagne in one gulp and threw it into the pool, the crowd erupted in cheers. Margot Robbie and Zendaya applauded like it was the best moment in a movie. Drake laughed and grabbed his head, while Diplo simply turned up the volume. Now it's real, someone in the crowd exclaimed. Ryan Reynolds, who was still standing between Scarlett and Colin, shook his head. I can't believe this is really happening. Scarlett was already on edge, too. She took a deep breath, wiped her hand on her dress as if to erase the evening from reality, and turned to the captain, who was watching the chaos from the bridge. Weigh anchor and sail away. Just sail away. The captain seemed surprised at first, but when Margot Robbie and Zendaya started chanting, Sail, sail, he waved to his assistant. And a few minutes later, the huge yacht began to slowly move away from the shore. Colin, who was already a little wobbly after the cocktail marathon, suddenly realized that the yacht was sailing without him. He turned sharply to Scarlett. Are you serious? Are you just leaving me here? Oh, sorry, you love improvisation so much yourself. Everyone laughed while Colin, with a look of shock on his face, ran around the deck, looking for a way out. But there was no way out. The yacht had already set off on a night cruise through the waters of Miami. Meanwhile, the crowd felt a real sense of freedom. Drake finally got access to the DJ console and started playing his tracks, which made Diplo roll his eyes. Margot Robbie was dancing right on the bar, waving a martini glass, and Zendaya was already sorting through the wardrobe with captain's costumes to find something. Pirate Ryan, sighing, turned to Scarlett. Well, this is no longer a party, but some kind of Hollywood madness. Scarlett, raising her glass. What are you, Ryan? This is just the beginning. The yacht set off at full speed into the open waters, and this was a sign for the guests. The party officially went into full break mode. Margot Robbie, who was still dancing on the bar, raised her hands up and exclaimed, "Okay, people, if this is uncontrolled chaos, let's make it legendary." Drake, who was now in command of the DJ console, backed up this statement with a crazy bass line. Scarlett, already a little relaxed after the incident with Colin, drank a shot of tequila and looked at Ryan Reynolds with a smile. "See? You were worried that it would be boring." Ryan shook his head and raised his glass. "I officially absolve myself of responsibility for everything that happens tonight." But things got even hotter when someone suggested cocktail riot. The idea was simple. Each guest had to mix the strangest cocktail and force someone to drink it. Zendaya, having found a captain's cap, poured something green that smelled suspiciously of absinthe and lime. Drake decided to experiment with vodka and strawberry jam. Ryan Reynolds, the owner of the gin brand, simply poured himself a neat gin and said, "I don't play these games. I'm too old for this shit." But the real surprise came when Margot Robbie mixed a 3-pack of rum, added chili peppers and a piece of mango, and then handed it to Colin Jost. "Drink. You have to prove you're not just a guy who got dropped off at someone else's party." Colin, still trying to balance his pride with the fact that he was literally being swept away by this storm, picked up his glass and downed it all in one gulp. "Oh my God, it's fire," he yelled, clutching his throat. "Oh, don't pretend you're not thrilled." Margot laughed, but Colin didn't answer. Instead, he dashed to the side of the yacht and jumped overboard. For a second, everyone froze, then Drake shouted, "Okay, who ordered the self-destruction?" Scarlett covered her face with her hands wearily. "Is this a joke? Did he really do it?" Ryan was already taking off his shirt, preparing to jump into the water. "I'm not letting him drown at this party, because TMZ will write later that it's my fault." But before he jumped, Colin emerged from the water, waving his arms and shouting, "You're all crazy. I hate you." A lifebuoy flew at him from the yacht, and Margot shouted, "Shut up and row back." Drake decided to increase the drama and pressed the siren button on the DJ console. The roar swept over the ocean, and Colin, muttering something about "the worst night of my life," began to row back, and the party went on. Because for Hollywood stars, it was just an average level of scandal. Colin, muttering curses, finally climbed aboard the yacht, wet and angry. The entire crowd erupted in applause, and Drake, in triumph, cut a dramatic beat, "Welcome back to hell." Ryan Reynolds exclaimed sarcastically, handing Colin a towel. "You go," he muttered, angrily squeezing the water out of his jacket. Meanwhile, the party had reached its peak. Zendaya had donned a found captain's uniform and was giving out commands. Margot Robbie continued to dance barefoot on the bar, and Drake had officially turned the DJ booth into his personal club. Scarlett finally breathed a sigh of relief. She raised her glass and loudly proclaimed, "Let's drink to this night. To the chaos, to the stupid decisions, and to the fact that this will only stay between us." "Oh, yes, someone will definitely stream this on TikTok," Margot giggled. "No, we're not idiots," Diplo exclaimed, and at that moment his phone lit up. On the screen, live broadcast from the yacht, 150,000 viewers. "Oh my God, are you joking?" Scarlett almost dropped her glass. Everyone abruptly started checking their phones. Comments poured in non-stop. Colin Jost jumped overboard? Did Ryan Reynolds really get in the fight? Drake kicked Diplo out and took the DJ console? Ryan threw his phone on the table, well, that's it, now it's official. We're in the shit. Yes. And that means we have to end the party grandly. Margot exclaimed, and she pressed the ship's siren. The roar swept across the night ocean. Okay, that was an unnecessary pathos, but I liked it. Zendaya laughed, but while everyone was laughing, the captain suddenly ran out of the bridge, pale as chalk. We have to turn back. The Coast Guard is coming for us. There was dead silence on the deck. Shit. Drake shouted. Well, damn, we just wanted to have fun. Colin grunted, still wet. If we get caught, it'll be all over the headlines. Scarlett whispered. Margot looked at everyone, then at the water, then at the bottle of champagne she was holding, and said, well, guys. If this is the end of our yachting adventure, let's at least meet him with glasses in hand. Everyone laughed. Diplo played the final track. The yacht raced to shore. The police were closing in, but this night will forever remain a Hollywood legend.